Welcome to Freedom Cast, where your hosts, Jordan and Miranda, show you how to get just a little bit more out of life. Are you ready to leave normal behind?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Freedom Cast. We are so happy that you are listening in today. We have a great episode, and we had our college friend, Brandon Kaminski, on, and we talked about pretty much everything, veganism to pottery, so I hope you enjoy.
All right, welcome to Freedom Cast, everybody. We have Brandon Kaminski on with us. He's one of my good friends back from our college days, and we are still friends after 6 years now. I think we've been graduated. That's kind of insane. He was in the same year as Miranda and I. We were roommates. We'll get into a little bit if we want to, how we feuded for a little bit, but then hugged it out. And now we're good friends again and have remained friends since. We don't have to talk about that, but it was a funny part of college. Miranda's just smiling. What are you smiling at?
No reason.
Okay.
You dove right into the heavy stuff there.
Well, Brandon and I are good friends now, so it doesn't matter, right?
No. Yeah, so we just wanted you, Brandon, to start off. Just tell a little bit about yourself. If you want to talk about your little feud, that's fine.
We don't have to talk about the feud. I was just trying to be funny. Okay, cool, Miranda.
The whole thing. No, of course.
The whole thing.
No, my name is Brandon Kaminski. I live in the DC area. I knew Jordan and Miranda, like I said, from the college days. I actually met Jordan. I met you first week of college. We were on the same floor, and then after.
Yeah, it was right off. I'm really trying to remember like what brought you down. I know there was something that brought you down, right?
Yeah, you were the guy with Halo and the Xbox.
That's what I thought.
That's what you were known for in college.
That's right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you have some really cool hobbies that we just recently learned about a few of them when you were down here visiting. The pottery, for example, yep. And you becoming a vegan. So if you want to just tell everyone a little bit about your hobbies and kind of how you got into them.
Yeah, let's start with each of them. We'll do one at a time. We're just very interested in these. And actually, it was Miranda's original idea to bring you on the show because she heard about this and was like, hey, I want to have different people with different hobbies on the show, because we talk a lot about we go from serious stuff to being really goofy. So we wanted to bring you on and talk about there's some fun stuff as well that people do, and that's important. So jump into it.
Absolutely. Well, actually, those are probably two of my most recent hobbies and actual changes. I became vegan about 8 months ago. And it all kind of just started as an experiment. And Jordan and Miranda, you guys know me. I ate tons and tons of meat, especially through college. That's why even when I told you guys I was vegan, you still didn't believe it.
Nope. The first time I told Miranda, she was like, no. And then I told Chris and he was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it started out as an experiment. My girlfriend, Mila, and I, were talking about, hey, let's try meatless Mondays. And I was like, yeah, sure. We'll give that a shot. I did one meatless Monday and then never looked back. I was vegan ever since. So I really quit cold turkey. I couldn't even believe it. But really it was just kind of baby steps for me. Just started one day, then the next, and the next. The next thing you know, it's 8 months. But interestingly, it started out as an experiment. I wanted to try it for a year. And then actually my girlfriend really challenged me to complete it for a year. So that's why I'm still on 8 months. I wanted to see how my blood work was going, see how I feel and the changes of going vegan. And then also it's kind of a running joke. Whenever I do some little things around the house, I'll say, hey, I did the dishes. And you'll always say, oh, well, do you want a trophy for that? And I said, yes, absolutely. I want a trophy. Something that I need to have, even if it's just for doing the dishes. So she actually challenged me to be vegan for a year, and I will get a trophy. So eye on the prize. That's what I'm going for. But separately, really, it's just started it as an experiment for myself, and then really became sort of environmental. I started watching documentaries, reading a lot about different recipes and all kinds of effects that it has on the body and the environment. So there's really no bad reason to make the switch. And since then, I've felt great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So have you actually seen the trophy yet, or is it still a work in progress?
Yeah, we want to talk about this trophy because this is awesome.
Well, I've requested for a golden broccoli, but I don't know if that exists yet. So we got to find ways to make that happen.
That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Just tell Mila that if she needs help, we will help her because we love trophies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just think it's cool, too, because that is something that we were very shocked to hear that you had become a vegan. But it is cool that it kind of just happened within a day that, what you said you had some kind of ridiculous meal as your last meal with me. What was that?
Meal, yeah, that actually was really funny that you bring that up because the last meal that I had before going vegan was a tasting menu. This was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was like a $350 meal, 6-course entree, which actually had foie gras, caviar, prime rib, and squab, which for people who don't know what squab is, I had no idea what that was, but I ate it anyway. And it's like baby pigeon that's like crazy expensive. So that was like my last supper before being vegan. And
I love that was your last real meal, and then you were like, I don't think I need that anymore. That's awesome story.
I mean, once you had one squab, you had them all. So also on this Santa Fe trip, you got really into pottery. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I've always enjoyed art, looking at art, trying to do art. Never turns out very well when I actually do it. But I ended up taking a pottery class and wanted to really just see if I liked it. And turns out it was like an aha moment where, I like to work with my hands. I like to make things and kind of bring in that artistic vibe, if you could call it that. And it just was one thing that I ended up being like the most focused I've ever felt in my life. And started doing pottery there. Came back here, found classes immediately, and I've been doing it probably once or twice a week for about a year now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we actually got to see pictures of some of the stuff you made, and it's for real. It's really good.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's very funny because like I'll go each session that I go to now is 3 hours, and I will sit there and not eat or drink or talk and just do pottery. It's very, very like I always say, it's like my version of yoga.
I think that's so cool to find a hobby that you can just get into like that, because I feel like that's what hobbies are for, and that's what they should be for. Like whether it's hiking or like playing video games or whatever, when you can get your like head totally out of like the world, I feel like that can like work wonders on like just giving your mind a break from all the thinking we have to do every day. So that's awesome. That I didn't know that part about it, and I think that's really cool. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too because I like that you said it's your yoga, because some people would be like, oh, you have to do yoga, it's the best thing in the world. But for somebody else, it's a different hobby, but it does the same thing for you, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I'll let Jordan bring up this next one, because I know this is something that's very near and dear to his heart.
Near and dear. Okay, it's very, very near and dear. How did you first get into Overwatch, Brandon? And we got to talk about it because I feel like Overwatch in some ways like was the thing that got us like talking more. Not like we weren't talking before, before we started playing again, but it's been cool to like chat with you on that game and, just get back in touch in some ways. I think it's always easy to go like months or several months after, especially after leaving college, And then Miranda and I moved down here. It's hard when you're not able to go and hang out with someone. I think it's easy to lose contact with them. And I think Overwatch was just a cool thing that we were able to do and both just get really into. And that was I think it was a while ago that we started playing, and then we're still playing, which is kind of crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was just one thing that I picked up and really loved. And of course, with all of our really good friends from college, and as you and Miranda know, we had a very, very tight-knit group of friends. And now that tight-knit group of friends is all over the place. We have some up in New Jersey, New York. You guys are down in North Carolina. I'm in DC. There's people everywhere. So this was just, like you mentioned, a really good way for us to reconnect. And of course, on the competitive virtual field, I really enjoyed that.
And I think that's good for me because I'm kind of like a skeptic of video games. I don't really get into video games, but Jordan has kind of gotten me to realize that it is a good way. He keeps in contact with you guys. He keeps in contact with his brother from Maine. And it is a good way. It's not just about playing the video game. It's about communicating with people and keeping in touch. And I think that's a good thing for people who aren't big into video games to know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a little extra bonus aside from the game.
Yeah, for sure. I like that Miranda says that because I'm just beaming here with pride. Because I think a lot of people will lump video games in with the you shouldn't watch as much TV argument. And I think it's a completely separate thing. I mean, playing a video game is not watching TV. I mean, you're engaged. When you're talking to someone, you're communicating. You may not be in the same room with them, but I mean, we won't go down that bunny trail, but that's something that I feel very passionate about. It can be a very good thing. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because just to talk a little bit more about that. But we don't have to talk about that anymore. I'll let Miranda go on because I could talk about that all day. So yeah, I'll stop.
I don't want to get you started on video games in general. But the other cool hobby that you're into is something that a sport that I think a lot of people haven't heard of, and it's called handball. And can you tell us a little bit about how that actually works, what the game is, and
sure.
How long you've
So
been playing?
handball is a fascinating sport. And a lot of people think it's the American handball where you hit a ball up against the wall, one person at a time. I don't even know that whole sport, but it's not that. So this is what we call Olympic handball. Yeah, what we call Olympic handball or team handball, where it's a sport of 7-on-7, and you have a group of a team who has a ball, and your main goal is to throw it in the other goal.
So Brandon, it's like soccer, but for your hands.
A lot of people compare it to soccer or water polo. No, but I mean, honestly, there's so many different sports that are combined into this one sport, and that's why I love it too. Yeah, I came from baseball, lacrosse in college, and it's one sport that uses all of those things. You can be tall, you can be short, you can be skinny, fat, doesn't matter. There's always a place for you on that court. And it is a fast-paced, hard-hitting, really, really fun game. And it's a surprise that it's actually not popular in the U.S. Or not as popular as it could be, because it is a fascinating sport all around.
Yeah, because I don't think I would have ever heard of it had you not been involved in it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very, very popular in Europe. And my buddy and I, after graduating college, his name's JJ, we played on the lacrosse team together in college, and then we took a trip to Germany. We saw this sport on TV in Germany, and we were like, this looks so easy. It's just people throwing a ball into the goal. How hard could it be? So we came back, we found a team in DC, and tried out, made the team, and then basically have been playing ever since. So it was maybe like 5 years ago. And I'm actually the men's team lead. My girlfriend Mila, she actually is the president of the DC team.
Wow, that's awesome. So you're very heavily involved in it.
Yeah, and when I first started, that's actually how I met Mila. I came down, went to the first tryouts, and met her that long time ago, and we've been together ever since and running the team.
That's really cute.
You look at that. We talk about pottery, veganism, Overwatch, handball,
That's
and
right.
love.
You
Gotta get
throw
really
love
sappy. Yeah.
And Brandon, I believe you were telling me, you can go ahead if you want, but I was just going to ask you about I think you said you won like a medal or something playing handball. Just want to talk about that.
So
That's
last
really
year,
cool.
our team won the gold medal in the national tournament. We were in the first division, and we brought home the gold. It was a fascinating experience, and we're hoping to do just as well if this year.
Okay, really important question though. Did you get a trophy?
We did get a trophy. I didn't get to keep it, so I'm really sad about that. But I do have the medal, so that's just as nice.
Okay, good. That's the most important part. So.
You haven't been able to tell by this already. Whenever I find something that I like, I really latch on and I don't let go. Whether it's in pottery, handball, what have you, and just really, I would encourage everybody to just try things, because you never know what may happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe you're the best curler in the world, but you've never tried curling. There's like all those things out there that fascinates me that how do I know I'm not good at that unless I try it?
Yeah, I love that attitude. And we do say you are always like, you're finding that next thing that you just get super into, which is just a lot of fun because then you're always telling us about these new things that we've never heard of. And it's cool to, see how you definitely latch on to something and then get, super involved in it. And that's really cool because I think I tend to dabble in things more. So, yeah.
So this means I can go shoot like a longbow somewhere because I've always wanted to shoot a bow. Can I find? See, Brandon says I can. Bows are fine, right? Miranda doesn't like guns.
Guns scare me.
But can I shoot a bow?
Sure.
Sweet. I'm gonna go find a place and shoot a bow and arrow because I feel like I might be good.
Give it a go. Let me know when you go. I'll come too.
Sounds good.
Don't hurt yourself, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, if you've listened to our podcast at all, we have talked to a lot of people that live kind of an entrepreneurial lifestyle. So we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what you do because you have a more traditional job, and just kind of talk to that and how you can have a traditional job and still enjoy it. Because we preach a lot about doing your own thing kind of, but that's not the only way. So we just wanted to talk about your profession and what you do.
So right now I work in the student success and higher education realm. So I'm a business analyst and I work on gathering data. We have a particular platform that will take historical data and compare it to the current students and tell their likelihood to graduate. So for me, in that space, it's exciting for me because I'm in college. I wasn't really a great student. So every day that I can help students and make sure that people are graduating, that's exciting for me. So my job, yes, is a 9 to 5, but it has been probably the most exciting ride in my career.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, I did want to talk a little bit about how you like living in DC, because I know how many years have you been there now?
3. It's about 3 years. About 3 years.
Yeah, because I know we visited you one time this year, and it was a really cool area that you were in. So just, I know you love the weather up there. So.
Well, DC is basically a swamp. It's water, but we have. I really enjoy it here. Coming from a small town in Pennsylvania, it's definitely a lot more busy in the city. But where I live kind of on the outskirts of DC, so it's kind of a good mix of the rural areas that I like, and then the downtown where I can go out to eat and see all the monuments and all that touristy stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what we like too. We don't like to be in the thick of it, but we like to be close to things. So we like to be a little bit removed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Brandon, I want to jump back a little bit because I'm curious just to get your take on the entrepreneurial lifestyle versus like the 9 to 5 type salary job. And like Miranda said, and I think I even mentioned to you, and we try to say often that in no way we're judging that. Like we totally respect that. I think I just try to focus on, I mean, because for me, it was just a really frustrating thing, but that's not how it is for everyone. So just wanted to see your take on those two kind of things, and yeah, just kind of get your opinion on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, working in a corporation, it does have its benefits, as you alluded. I mean, you always have like 401k, all the other aspects of like healthcare, and everything just seems to be kind of done for you, and you don't have to worry about, you know, I don't have to worry about not having a steady paycheck. I value that a lot, and of course, what you know, working for yourself is extremely rewarding, and I try and do that through my hobbies. But it is, I can see that. No, let me see here. I don't know how I want to say this.
No, that was good. I really liked that. I just gave Miranda a thumbs up because I thought that was really
comforting.
Cool.
It is comforting knowing that, but I can also, like, you know, deep down, I've always wanted to have my own business and do something myself, but you know, don't have the courage to do that.
Brandon, I really liked that answer that you gave. I thought that was a really good, I don't know if juxtaposition's the right word, but I like that word. So we're going to use it. I liked how you described that because I feel like for a lot of people, that's what it is. There's that comfort to it, that they can do their job, and then they can have their really cool hobbies like on the side, that they really put like more of themselves into. And I think that's great too. You know, and it's cool because there's some people that don't have that inner part of them that ever wants to start a business. But I try to encourage people that have that in them to at least plan for it one day. So that's really cool that you have that like as like deep down and part of you. I don't think it's something that people, you know, need to do right away, but I think it's cool when people have that kind of like underneath the surface and, hey, I think I would like to do that someday. I think it's just all about like encouraging that eventually, if that's something you want to do. Does that make sense, Miranda?
Yeah, I think so. And I just remember too, not only do you have some really cool hobbies, you have done a lot of really awesome traveling, and you've gone on a bunch of really cool trips. Can you tell us what your favorite trip was?
So yeah, I would encourage everybody to travel, to get out of the country, go see other cultures, and really explore. I actually really didn't do that too much before I met my girlfriend. My girlfriend is from Macedonia, a small country, kind of in the Eastern European part of Europe. It's poorly explained, but you get it. Yeah, the eastern part of Eastern Europe. Yeah.
My geography, Brandon, is terrible, so it's totally fine.
Jordan needed that so he could pinpoint it in his mind.
No, I was like getting there, but then that actually helped explain it further, so that worked.
Yeah, so I think you know, through traveling there with her, I've been to Macedonia a couple times. I've been to a lot of just Western Europe. It's, I think, Germany and all of those countries around there. There's places where you can just go to one and then maybe travel like 2 or 3 hours and then visit a whole nother culture and country. It's always just been fascinating. And also the food, like just go for the food alone, because it is the best part of traveling.
Yeah, that's awesome, because definitely here you don't you're like, America's so big that you just thinking about traveling to another country just for a day is kind of a ridiculous thought. But in Europe, it is. You can go to all sorts of places so easily, and their public transportation is so much better too.
And the flights, actually, like if you try and fly in the country now, it can be pretty expensive, but you know, flying overseas, you can almost do it for a similar price if you go at the right time. So yeah, everybody get your passports and head over.
Yeah, we had to get our passports updated this past year. That was the most annoying process. It took so much
start
work.
early and then you don't have to do it again for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That's like the only like saving grace of actually getting the passport is that it lasts a while, because that was like so complicated.
Yeah.
That was just a side note. So can you tell us just what some of your long-term goals are, maybe with your job or with your hobbies or with traveling? Just what you're kind of looking.
Yeah, well, I think you alluded to some. I think I want to get good enough at pottery to actually have an Etsy page and maybe start to get a return on all the effort that I'm putting into it. Some of the long-term goals, yes, traveling is one of them. I do want to keep continually traveling, trying to go at least once a year somewhere new where I haven't been. Eat some food that I haven't had before. No pheasants.
But no pheasants, right?
We'll have to see. Unless you have to have them in that place, and it would be rude not to have it. I don't know. Maybe I'd find myself having one.
That's the Brandon I know.
Just kidding here. I've been vegan for 8 months, and 99.999% of my life I haven't been. So there's still those urges and wants. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I really want to continually working at my current job and really try and go through the ranks there and really challenge myself to be better at that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Could you give our listeners just one piece of advice that would help them just to get a little bit more
absolutely.
out of life?
So again, try things. Really, just explore. Go to meetup groups. Take a look online. It may be something you think you might like, or even something you might not even dream that you would like. I couldn't imagine that I would have liked pottery until I actually tried it. It just wasn't even a thought in my mind. You'll be very surprised at what things can, or where things can take you, even if you just try it. If I didn't try handball, I wouldn't have found my girlfriend that I've had for the past 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. She's gonna kill me.
We'll edit that out for you.
Nope. We are past my editing powers here.
A long time, and yeah, it's just that would be my biggest suggestion. Oh, Jordan, I did want to say earlier too for the work thing. I think it boils down to risk, and you have low risk, and I would say low reward for working in the corporation. Of course, there's still, you can always have a high reward, but when you work for yourself, it is high risk, but it does have a lot more potential for a high reward in that aspect, especially if you put your head down and really grind it out. I think that's really beneficial.
Yeah, that's awesome that you say that, because I just remember I was talking to Miranda recently when we were doing our budget, and most of our listeners know by now that I'm kind of doing the entrepreneurial thing full time, and it's just that interesting part of it. Hey, I could make next to nothing this month, but the ceiling's a lot higher too. I could potentially make more than I've ever made in a month from other jobs. So I think and you're right. It's that risk reward kind of thing. If we take this risk, we could be doing really well, or we could have to struggle for a few months. And I think it just depends on kind of where you want to be and how it fits in your lifestyle on doing different hobbies. And and because of that decision, we're limited in a lot of ways on other things we can do. And I think that's really cool about your job, is I think you get a bunch of vacation time, and you can take that time and go travel and do those really awesome things. Where we kind of have, because we made the decision to do this more entrepreneurial thing, we got to commit to that, and we don't have as much room elsewhere. So I think that's such a cool point that you made, and I'm glad you jumped back to that, because I was thinking about that and trying to figure out how else we could kind of hash that out. But I think that's perfect. Yeah. If you want, you can share just where people could go to find out a little bit more about you, or about handball, or if you were going to set up an Etsy page for your pottery. I mean, we would jump on and buy something. But if there's anything you want to send people to, you can go ahead and share that here, or not. That's fine too.
Handball, really want to promote that a good bit with that still being a growing sport and a really big passion of mine, we have dcdiplomats.com. That is our handball website where you can find out more about our club, and then you can also find if there are other clubs in your area. Another good resource is USA Team Handball, and I'd encourage people to go try it.
Yeah, I'll put those links in the show notes. If you wanted to, we could put some pictures of your pottery. We don't have to, but it was good. I mean, I think it's definitely good enough to share. I think it's always funny. We're always very it's the same thing that we're always scared to hear our own voice on these things. I think we're always our own harshest critic, unfortunately, in some ways. But we thought it was really good. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem, Brandon. We are very happy to have you on the show. Come back anytime. We definitely enjoyed talking with you on all these different things. Definitely was a very good episode, and I think our listeners are going to like it.
We'll have to check back in a few more months to see if you got that golden broccoli trophy.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this Freedom Cast episode number 14 with Brandon Kaminski. We hope you enjoyed what we talked about. We hope you got a good couple nuggets of information out of this. Please go and give us a review on iTunes, and also go on my website and go to the podcast show notes and start a conversation there. Ask us some questions. I will send Brandon there if you have questions for him. But we just do appreciate you listening, and we just thank you so much for stopping by.